What is up, guys? Thick Rick here. If you follow me on Twitter at RickKackis, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for stopping by. And today, we've got some brand spankin' new Destiny 2 news, courtesy of the Bungie weekly update that has just released unveiling official information. And it's a big one today. Bungie talked about what's coming for the next Sandbox update hitting the game October 29th, as well as some upcoming changes to Armor 2.0 and the mod system. So let's just jump into it. Firstly, some fun bit of news. The Big Show from WWE fame, huge guy and huge fan of Destiny 2, is going to be at the Bungie studio and is going to be participating in a Bungie bounty. So this is something where Bungie is just playing an activity, and if you match against them, you have the chance to earn this extremely exclusive emblem. So it's going to take place on the PlayStation 4 this time, because it was Xbox last time, October 19th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. if you want to participate. And they say they're going to be playing a few strikes, Vex Offensive, and finish up with the Crucible. Moving on from there, let's talk about those upcoming changes to the Sandbox. So this is some big one. Some of the most heavily used supers are going to find some nerfs. Because Bungie says the super energy refunding kills abilities like Trample, Everlasting Flames, etc., they are super highly used in PvP, and they're going to be dialing those things back. Additionally, for the Striker Titan, they've increased the cost of the light attack to make dashing across the map a little less forgiving. So you'll use up a lot more of your super if you try to just get across the map super fast. But specifically, here is what is going to change. For that Trample perk in the bottom path of the Code of the Juggernaut Striker Titan, they tuned the amount of super energy returned per kill. So they reduced the amount returned possible per kill from 15% to 13% before diminishing returns, and they reduced the low end of diminishing returns from 5% down to 3.25%. Additionally, they changed the kills for the diminishing returns by splitting them out between players and combatants. So previously it was 15 kills, now it's 14 combatant kills or 7 player kills. So players count for 2 times towards diminishing returns. Moving on from there, the cost of light attack in super increased by 50% from 2% to 3% of your super used up when you light attack, and regeneration on kill no longer procs on super kills. That is a massive change right there. So Bottom Tree Striker shouldn't be the terror it is right now. But there's actually more. Moving on from there to the Dawnblade Attunement of Flame, which is the bottom path. For Everlasting Flames, they tuned the amount of super energy returned per kill, handled differently than Striker, as this attack is an area of effect. So they increased the low end of the diminishing returns from 0.75% to 0.95%, which is actually a bit of a buff, but they changed the kills for the diminishing returns by splitting them out between players and combatants. So previously it was 30 kills, now it's 21 combatant kills or 7 player kills, and players count for 3 times towards diminishing returns. And overall, both of these changes, Bungie says, will allow you to keep dunking on PvE combatants. Like, it's not going to be a nerf really if you're doing the strikes, Vex Offensive, whatever, but it's going to dial it back in PvP because they've made that split now between normal combatants and other guardians. Moving on from there, we have some quality of life and bug fixes. So for the Sentinel, Code of the Protector, which is the top path, for Ward of Dawn, Armor of Light timer now correlates with the life of the Ward of Dawn, and the particle effects move more rapidly towards the end of the Ward of Dawn's life, just so you can tell at a glance if the bubble's going to go away, if it's worth running for and trying to re-up your weapons of light, etc. But also for the Night Stalker, the Way of the Wraith, the middle path. For Shattering Strike, they fixed a bug in which Shattering Strike activation window was reduced to 3 seconds along with True Sight, and now Shattering Strike lasts the proper 9 seconds once again. So although that's a bug fix, that's also a massive buff. Like right now it's 3 seconds and it's going to, what is that, like 3 times more to 9 seconds gain that edge with this update. So definitely keep an eye on Shattered Strike. Moving on from there, however, Shoulder Charge. This is a big one. So they've removed the bug that allows players to shoot immediately before activating Shoulder Charge. They had to change this to allow for the Tempest Strike seasonal mod, I believe, and therefore it really led to some shenanigans. Basically, you put on Peregrine Greaves and you could shotgun shot a guy with 1-2 punch and it would act upon Peregrine Greaves, like increasing the already insane damage of that exotic. So that's going to be nerfed and that strategy will no longer be viable with this update. Now, very interestingly, at the end of this section on all these changes, they say, we're also aware of feedback about other abilities and gear not mentioned above. We have our eye on One-Eyed Mask. Expect a change in a future update. So, I mean, One-Eyed Mask is absolutely like the most complained about exotic, and frankly, because it's one of the most used exotics. Like, if you're running a Titan, you're just gonna put on One-Eyed Mask 90% of the time because it's so darn good. So, I mean, it's kind of sad they say in a future update and not specifically on the 29th. I don't know what's taking them so long, but at least they're acknowledging it, and the terror of One-Eyed Mask may come to an end in not too long, hopefully. Moving on from there, we have a patch note preview of some other random changes, and I'm just going to pick out the ones that actually matter quite a bit here. So they fixed a bug where warlocks who wagered weak motes in Reckoning were incorrectly being given Titan gear, so if you are farming on the warlock now, that's actually viable. Also, honestly, huge quality of life change here. The Phantasmal core stack has been raised from 3 to 999. That is it, like, thank goodness. If you were trying to farm the moon weapons, which some of them are quite good and you wanted to, being able to only have 3 Phantasmal cores is frankly ridiculous. So that's going to help with that quite a bit. Okay, now moving on from there, Bungie has a big section on Armor 2.0 and the discussion around how it's being implemented in the game right now, how it is as a brand new system, some of the improvements that could be coming, because the main complaint right now is that you have mods locked behind that certain elemental type. So if I want to use a shotgun scavenger or a shotgun loader, I have to have arc gear. And to a lot of players, that's super annoying because you get a fantastic roll, a super high stat line piece of armor. That's so great, but oh, it's solar and my best thing is a grenade launcher. So I can't use grenade launcher scavenger on it. I can't use grenade launcher finder on it. And that has really been a bummer for a lot of players. Now, Bungie addresses this and they kind of argue that, look, we need a little bit of differentiation because otherwise you just get one set of armor, and if every mod works with that one set, regardless of energy, you're done for the game. Like once you get that full set of high stat line armor and you masterwork it all, you'll literally never have to get another armor piece for the rest of your entire time playing Destiny 2. So I kind of understand having a little bit of an aspect of these different energy requirements for these different mods. However, there is actually going to be a big change coming next season with Season of Dawn, because Bungie does acknowledge that for some of the other perks out there, like reloaders, you have specifically Shotgun Reloader, like I mentioned, which is on Arc, but you also have stuff like Rifle Loader and Large Arms Loader, or whatever it's called, that cost more energy but cover a huge variety of guns. So you can specifically go with Auto Rifle Loader. It's going to cost like, 1 or 2 energy, but it's going to be specific to a certain elemental type. But Rifle Loader is going to cost like, I think 4 or 5 energy, but it doesn't require an elemental type. So if you are using the wrong quote-unquote element, you can still put on those broad spectrum mods and affect the guns that you want to use. But the big problem is that there's no broad perks that don't have a specific elemental requirement for finders and scavengers. And Bungie has stated that, again, starting next season, those are going to be introduced. So instead of having to get specifically Grenade Launcher Scavenger with Season of Dawn, there's going to be some sort of large arms scavenger that's going to cost quite a lot of energy, but not require a certain element. And that will let you have a lot more customization with your armor. And if you have that really good set of armor, it means that you can still use that. You know, you're going to be screwed a little bit out of, you know, some extra energy by putting on those more expensive mods, but you'll still be able to affect the guns that you actually want to use. And I think that's a very good change and a pretty fair middle ground over the elemental requirements and then having no elemental requirements. We'll see how this pays off. And also Bungie does mention in this blurb that they're very open to adjusting the costs of mods. Like if a certain mod is being used an absolute ton, its energy requirements may be increased in the future, right? Whereas mods that don't see that much play, they actually might be reduced. And so you're going to have this balancing every season, hopefully, with the values on these mods. And that's super important. However, there's actually another big change coming to Armor 2.0 next season, and that is Bungie is going to be loosening the restrictions of stacking on Armor 2.0 mods. So, in Season of Dawn, they say you will be able to run 2 hand cannon loader mods on the same armor piece, or 2 shotgun ammo finder mods, and so forth. Wow! And they say the only exceptions to this stacking come from mods that provide no benefit when stacked, such as fastball and traction. Now, they do also say that if you double stack a mod, it won't necessarily provide twice the benefits. So they give the example for 2 hand cannon loader mods, they don't increase the reload speed by twice. Instead, they'll provide about a 1.5 times benefit to 1 hand cannon loader mod. So it just gets a little bit better, not literally double. But overall, that is a huge and fantastic change. Like if you want to dedicate to a certain gun type, if you want to dedicate to a certain playstyle, you're really going to be able to augment that now that you can stack mods in Season of Dawn. So that's just, those 2 changes are already quite big. And there's one more little change, and that is that with patch 2.6.1 coming October 29th, there is going to be armor mods visible in the collections tab, allowing you to browse through all the possibilities and see which ones you have collected and which ones you still need, which is just an overall great quality of life improvement. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, found this informative, and if you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.